Today's episode is going to bring you inside a LinkedIn Live leadership event that I did recently. And this webinar workshop was really designed around how to create a customized leadership development plan for yourself in 2025. I would highly recommend you take 30 minutes to indulge and invest in yourself. Grab a pen and piece of paper. This is a very interactive exercise. Because I did this on LinkedIn, you're going to see there's a lot of engagement and conversation back and forth between the people that attended. And I'll be sharing some of their responses and insights, and you'll be able to gain some insights from some of their answers and characteristics that they want to focus on. There's also a lot of space and silence embedded in this episode on purpose. I really wanted to give you time to think about some of the questions that I'm asking and provoking, help you really enhance self-awareness around where you're at, how you're showing up as a leader today, and then some areas of focus that you want to tune in and really dive deep on in 2025. So we're going to go through the characteristics. I'm going to have you narrow down to 5. There's going to be action items and accountability and commitments built into this episode. Hope that you enjoy and get a lot of value out of it. If you want to see something like this created for your team, or you want to take a deeper dive into some one-on-one coaching, let's talk about that as well. You can reach out to me at kristenlmarvin@gmail.com or jump on my website and schedule time to connect at kristenmarvin.com/contact. Enjoy. Welcome to the Restaurant Leadership Podcast, the show where restaurant leaders learn tools, tactics, and habits from the world's greatest operators. I'm your host, Kristen Marvin, with Solutions by Kristen. I've spent the last 2 decades in the restaurant industry and now partner with restaurant owners to develop their leaders and scale their businesses through powerful one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and leadership workshops. This show is complete with episodes around coaching, leadership development, and interviews with powerful industry leaders. You can now engage with me on the show and share topics you'd like to hear about, leadership lessons you want to learn, and any feedback you have. Simply click the link at the top of the show notes and I will give you a shout out on a future episode. Thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to connecting. Running a restaurant is tough. Long hours, staffing challenges, rising costs. Sound familiar? What if I told you there's a smarter way to manage your kitchen, boost your staff's morale, and keep your operations running smoothly? Enter Restaurant Technologies, the ultimate solution for modern kitchen management. Here's how restaurant technologies can transform your business. 1, solve labor challenges. They automate unpleasant tasks like manually handling used cooking oil. They keep your staff safe and happy while promoting a safer, more efficient kitchen. 2, reduce operating costs. They help you save money by optimizing oil usage and eliminating third-party cleaning services with their auto mist technology. Some restaurants save up to $300 per month per location. Number 3, they help you ensure consistent food quality. Fresh oil means better tasting food every single time. They help you monitor your oil usage remotely with ease. Number 4, enhance safety. Reduce fire risks and injuries by eliminating the need to handle hot oil. Number 5, promote sustainability. Join the eco-friendly movement by recycling used oil into biofuel. And number 6, maintain a clean kitchen. Imagine no more spills, pests, or messy cleanups. The result? A safer, cleaner, more efficient kitchen that saves you money and keeps your team happy. Ready to see why over 45,000 restaurants, from small independents to large multi-unit concepts, trust Restaurant Technologies? Visit rti-inc.com to learn more. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in here. Anybody else, if you're joining us late, would love to know where you're coming from and what your position is as you join the workshop. So we know in this day and age that leadership is super, super important. It's always been important, but in today's age of restaurants and all the challenges that everybody is seeing, which are far more than we've ever seen before, leadership is so important. It's important to lead with confidence. It's important to stay true to your values, to know who you are, to know how you want to show up. And self-awareness is such an important component of what we do because it really helps us be confident in front of our team and build trust. So, we're going to talk a little bit today about defining your characteristics, really understanding how, like, where you're at today, where you want to go, and then we're going to create some accountability and some action around the leadership characteristics that you choose. If today's session resonates with you, imagine what a customized leadership workshop for your team could do. I do offer leadership trainings and workshops in addition to one-on-one coaching. So let's chat today if that is something that you're interested in learning more about. So again, like, why is defining your leadership style important? Kimberly, since you're on with me, I would love to make this as engaging as possible. Would you mind just putting in the comments why you think defining your leadership style is important in this day and age of restaurants? While Kimberly's doing that, again, if anybody is jumping in late, would love to know where you were joining us from. If you want to put that in the comments, that'd be great. So I'm going to jump in here with some aspects as far as why defining your leadership style is really important and how it impacts your restaurant today. We know that every single leadership style is different and unique. Welcome, Tyrone. Nice to have you from Texas. We understand that clarity allows for really intentional decisions to be made in your business, and those intentional decisions are aligned with your values and your vision. So, Tyrone, I'm just kind of asking now why defining your leadership style is really important and how it impacts your restaurant. Kimberly is saying it allows us to know why we are doing something, how we show up, and our core values to guide us. 110%. Absolutely so true. A clear leadership style, it allows you to show up consistently, which is so important. We've all worked for bosses that have been really inconsistent, ones that are consistent. And you're so much more trustworthy and confident as an employee if you're showing up in front of a leader that is consistent every single day. You know what you're going to get when you show up for work. It builds a lot of trust and reliability with your team. It also enhances decisiveness. It improves your communication with your team, and it sets a clear example for others to follow. In a dynamic restaurant environment, a grounded leadership style keeps your team aligned, keeps them motivated, and keeps them adaptable. Again, you want to set a great tone and example for your employees because a lot of us want to build a bench internally of employees. And you do that by making management and leadership look easy, simple, I should say. It's not easy. You can do it simply, but also positive and something that is based around a foundation of growth, development, and health and wellness as well. Identifying your key leadership qualities helps create a really positive, high performing workplace as well, right? Think of everyone rowing in the same direction as a team. Super important. The ultimate impact of this, of simply defining your leadership style, is really enhancing your overall guest experience. It reduces your turnover, and it drives your restaurant success and profitability, right? That's why we want to make these investments and indulge in leadership development. Defining your restaurant leadership style is really just the first step here. If you're ready to take your leadership to the next level, I do offer deep dive coaching sessions to help you implement some real change and uncover some things that you don't know are there when it comes to your leadership. So if you'd like to talk about this or talk about how we could work together to do that after the call, please feel free to reach out. So I'm going to ask you now to take a moment and think about a leader that you have worked with in your life who's made an impact on you. Ideally, a positive one. I know we learn a lot from both styles, positive and negative, in our leadership, but today we're going to really focus on kind of drawing out some of these core leadership qualities from our past experiences. So take a moment, think about somebody that you've worked with. And as you're thinking about them and how they showed up and what characteristics they embodied, I'd love for you to just kind of start making a list of what those things are. And I'm going to share my screen with you as you're doing this and show you the document that I use for this workshop that has some additional characteristics. And so you can certainly add to that. But I would say our goal would be, let's try to come up with a list of 10 to 15 leadership qualities. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. As you're coming up with these characteristics, I would love for you to put those in the comments. It'll be really important, impactful, Kimberly and Tyrone, for you to learn from each other and gain some insights from each other. So if you would put those in the comments, that'd be really beneficial for both. And the additional leadership characteristics that we have on the screen, if you need some additional resources here or ideas, I've got supportive, inspirational, honest, highly committed, passionate, reflective or decisive, creative, and problem solver. Hey there, podcast friends. I hope you're enjoying these impactful conversations and leadership insights I'm bringing you each week. Before we dive back into today's episode, I want to take a moment and reach out and ask a small favor that would go a long way in supporting the show. If you've been loving the content I'm providing, please take a moment to leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Not only does it make my day, but it also plays a pivotal role in helping the show grow. Your reviews boost my visibility, attract new listeners, and encourage exciting guests to join me on the mic. So if you want to be part of my show's growth journey, hit that review button and let me know what you think. Thanks a million for being awesome listeners. Awesome. So Kimberly and Tyrone, once you've got those characteristics listed, if you'll go ahead and put those on the comments for me, I'd love to share those with each other. That'd be great. All right. So Kimberly's got supportive, trustworthy, hears me and sees me without judgment, and creates psychological safety. Those are really, really powerful. Kimberly, if you were going to put a word to somebody that hears you and sees you without judgment, what characteristic would you describe to that? Emotional intelligence. Emiliano, welcome. Love to know where you're joining us from. And Tyrone's got good communication, such a powerful leadership characteristic. So our goal here, again, if you've got, hopefully you've got 10 to 15, I'd love for you to really narrow down to 5 characteristics that we're going to kind of work on today. And I would love for you to put those 5 that you'd like to work on or embody in the comments as well. And then we can move forward. Tyrone's adding gratitude, integrity, humility, very, very powerful. Emiliano from Argentina, amazing, welcome. So Emiliano, before you jumped on, we were thinking back to a leader that we had worked with and some of the characteristics that we really admired in that person. And our goal is to try to come up with a list of a minimum of 5 characteristics that you would like to embody in 2025. Some of these characteristics may be ones that you already know you have inside that you want to build on, or ones that you are aspiring to be, to embody, and we'll work on that as well. So Kimberly's added empathetic to the list. Okay, so supportive, trustworthy, empathetic, love that. Creates psychological safety. Okay. I've heard, good problem solvers are, that's a great quality to have. Somebody that's available to you. Supportive, I think I've got that on my sheet as well. Yep, so again, I've got supportive, inspirational, honest, highly committed, problem solver, creative, decisive, and passionate. So if any of those 5 resonate with you, go ahead and put those in. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you guys have your list of 5 that you want to work on. And now that you've got that list, I'm going to ask you to On the right-hand side of your list, rate each one of those characteristics on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means that it's hardly showing up for you as a leader. 10 is it's really firing on all cylinders. And I'm going to present another document for you real quick so you can kind of see what this looks like. And again, if you want these tools at the end of the workshop, I'd be more than happy to share them with you. This is a really cool exercise that you can do for yourself on a quarterly basis and annual basis to plan your leadership development for the upcoming year. And you can share this with your team and do the same exercise with them, which is really great. Okay, so like I said, you've got your 5 characteristics. Over on the right-hand side of those, I'm going to ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 of where you're currently at now. Again, 1 is this characteristic is hardly showing up for you, and 10 is it's really firing on all cylinders. Once you've got a rating on each of those, and don't worry, sometimes people are really, really hard on themselves, so they score a little bit lower, or they tend to overshoot a little bit and score a little higher. That's totally fine. This is just really kind of helping you build some self-awareness around where you're showing up and how you're showing up today. Once you've got those, I would love to have you stop my share here. I would love to have you put these in the comments. Would love to know your 5 characteristics and the numbers that you are rating yourself. Hi, Chad. Thank you so much for joining us. You're kicking ass too, my friend. So, Chad, we're working on leadership development. So we are thinking of a story of someone that we've worked closely with as a leader that we really admire. We are distilling characteristics from them of how they showed up, asking everyone to pick 5 characteristics of how they want to show up as a leader differently in 2025, and making a list of those 5 and then rating themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of those characteristics of currently where you're at today. 1 is that leadership characteristic is barely showing up. 10 is that characteristic is firing on all cylinders. And so once everybody's got their 5 characteristics and their rating, I would love to have you put those in the comments for me. And don't be shy. There's no right or wrong characteristics here. This is completely customizable and personal to you. And I will say, when you're talking about characteristics, if Tyrone, what you're thinking of is gratitude. Gratitude could mean something completely different to Kimberly, something completely different to Chad, something completely different to Milano, excuse me. So it's really, really, again, we learn a lot from each other, from creating this community that we've got today, from this network. And it's so important, the more that we share with each other, the more that we learn from each other as well. So no judgment at all in this space. So Emiliano has pragmatic at a 7, emotional intelligence at a 6, problem solving at an 8, proactive at a 7, and good communication at a 6. Awesome. Love to hear what everybody else has. Kimberly's got supportive at an 8. Chad, it's it's 1 to 10. 1 to 10. Supportive, Kimberly's got supportive at an 8. Trustworthy at 9. Empathetic at 7. Creates psychological safety at 6. And solution focused at 7. Amazing. And Tyrone's got communicator at 7. Humble at 10. Gratitude at 10. Problem solver at 6, decision maker at 6. Amazing. So we'll wait for Chad to enter his in. But I will say the importance of I do this exercise a lot with clients when they think about how they want to show up for their teams or an area specifically that they want to work on, or when they want to create a development plan for themselves for the year that we can build on during our time together over 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. This is really important because what gets measured gets managed, right? And if you're scoring something Again, the score could be something different to every single person, and the meaning of the word or the characteristic could be different for every single person. But what this is doing is creating a path of self-awareness for you and a benchmark. So you can you've got a starting point. I'm going to have you set a goal for yourself in just a little bit, and then we're going to really understand. You're going to start to put some motion in place on how you can close the gap between those two numbers. So as you're thinking about your characteristics that you've got currently, and where you've rated them, I would love for you to take a moment and pick one of these characteristics and take a couple minutes and just think about, as this characteristic. So, Kimberly, psychological safety at a 6. What does that look like for you? How is that characteristic showing up for you today? And I'd love for you, so Chad's added his in here. He's got empathy at an 8, supportive at a 9, communication at an 8, humility at an 8, and teacher at a 7. So pick one of those characteristics from each of the lists that you've created. And let's talk about stress management at a 2. Love it. Put in the comments how you are showing up today as a leader, Kimberly at a supportive 8, or creating psychological safety at a 6. Chad, stress management at a 2. How's that showing up for you in your leadership and in your job with your team today? So share some of that self-awareness that you have just been working on the last couple minutes. Could be something that you're really proud of how this characteristic is showing up, or something that you would like to build on. Yeah. So, Emiliano, so basically, what I'm asking for here is a moment of self awareness for you of what, who are you at a pragmatic 7? How would you describe yourself? Who are you as a leader at an emotional intelligence rating of 6? Like, where are you today? So, Chad is giving us a great example here. That might provide some clarity for you. So, stress management at a 2 for Chad today looks like it keeps me from being present. It affects everything else on the list. I can care in my heart and be supportive in my actions and communicate and pivot with humility unless I am stressed. And then I can't hear anything or do anything, and my mood affects everything. Definitely can relate to that. I don't know about some of you, but sometimes when stress starts to boil up for me and I feel it physically, I can have a tendency to kind of black out or freeze and not really know where that next move needs to come from, which is really challenging. Again, especially when you're in a leadership position and you're managing a team of people and running a company, like Chad does. So, what else? What other comments would you like to add here? We'll take one more and then we'll move on. Thank you, Chad, for being so vulnerable. I know it's not easy to show up and talk about development in front of a bunch of people that you don't know on a live event. So I just appreciate the humility here and vulnerability and transparency. Again, we learn a lot from each other. And I guarantee that, aside from me, there's probably a couple people in this group that relate to the things that Chad just mentioned when it comes to stress management. Who else wants to be brave? Hi, everybody. We're taking a quick break to offer you an exciting opportunity. If you're a restaurant owner or manager looking to enhance your leadership skills, I invite you to join my 12-day leadership challenge. In just 12 days, you'll receive a guided packet with actionable strategies to transform your leadership in less than 5 minutes a day. Join the challenge and the community and grab your copy at kristenmarvin.com/12 days. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, Tyrone says, making decisions in areas that I rely on my team who specialize in that certain area. I depend on them to make those decisions. I stay in my lane. Okay, very good. And Kimberly, well said, Chad. I feel like with psychological safety, if I am unsure whether I am creating it, then the feeling of uncertainty takes over and I question my ability. Yeah. Okay. Chad said, all good, no pride. You know my journey. I have to run. Okay, perfect. And Emiliano said, I think it's both a challenge, both a reason to improve as a leader, referring to emotional intelligence. It affects my contacts as a leader, as well as myself and my family too. Right. Absolutely. It's a great point. Leadership shows up not just with your teams, but also with your personal life, right? Leadership affects every single aspect of your life, how you treat yourself, the health and wellness, the way that you talk to yourself, whether that's positive or negative self-talk, the way that you treat your family members, the way that you treat your friends. Um, it shows up in every single aspect. So yes, we're talking about these leadership characteristics from a perspective of growing your business and your restaurant. And so, but keep in the back of your mind as you're going through these numbers and kind of creating this self-awareness of how this is also showing up for you in your personal life. So we're going to move on from this part of the exercise, but I would encourage you to go back through and do the same thing that you just did with each of these numbers. Again, build some self-awareness around how you're really showing up today. The next journey, I want to just kind of read here what Tyrone said too. I have to get much better at not depending on the team so much. Yeah, there's a delicate balance there of not empowering them too much, right? Having some oversight of what they're doing, but also being able to show up in a way that's developing them and challenging them and celebrating them too. Really, really good point. So for the next section of the exercise, I'm going to ask you to go back to your rating sheet and where you rated yourself 1 to 10. I'd love for you to rate yourself in those 5 characteristics of where you want to go. What does the vision look like for you? So if you rated yourself at an emotional intelligence of 6, where do you want to be over the next year? It could be a 7, could be 8, could be 9, could be all the way to 10. So go ahead and rate yourself on each of those characteristics of what number you want to be. And then again, if you would put those in the comments for me, I'd really appreciate it. Perfect, Kimberly, and no worries at all. We will see you soon. I'm also going to post this on the podcast, and it'll be posted on LinkedIn, so you can catch it again and go through it. And then if you have any questions or you want to do this exercise with anybody, let me know. We can schedule time to connect on it. Okay, so love to hear, Tyrone and Emiliano, where you would like to be with each of your 5 characteristics. What numbers did you assign to those? Okay, Tyrone, shooting for the stars. I love it. Of course, to be a 10 in all areas. That's a wonderful, wonderful goal. Love that. Emiliano, how about you? Awesome. So when you've got your numbers, okay, perfect. So Emiliano says, I would go for an 8 in every single one because I think it's important to always have room for improvement. Absolutely. Great point as well. So now that you've got a rating in each of these, I would love for you to pick one that you are really wanting to focus on and the one that you think is going to have the biggest amount of impact in your leadership over the course of 2025 and beyond. So go ahead and pick that one, put that one characteristic in the comment for me. And then again, put that number that you've assigned to it. So we know 8 and 10, right? For Emiliano, and Tyrone. Thanks so much, Tyrone. Appreciate you joining us. All right, Emiliano. So tell me which one characteristic you'd like to really focus on in 2025. Awesome. So once you've got that one characteristic, Emiliano, I'm going to ask you to really think about and kind of take a second to write down who you are again as a leader at this moment. Let's kind of have you create a vision around what that characteristic looks like for you if you're at an 8. How are you performing with your team? How are you showing up? What's changed for you that's different than where you're at currently today? And I'd love for you to put those thoughts in the comments for me. Good communication. Perfect. So, good communication, if it's at an 8 in 2025, what does that mean? What impact is that communication style having on your team, and how is it impacting you as well? So, Emiliano, now that you've got kind of a vision of how you'd be different in 2025, how you'd be developed and elevated and a better communicator, I would love for you to think about one. Let's put some action and accountability to this. So, what's one tiny step that you can take in order to enhance your communication skills and help you get closer to an 8? What's one just tiny, tiny step? This doesn't have to be monumental. One tiny step, and um, put that tiny step into the chat for me. Yeah. Refer to this as an issue you've had in your previous experience. Absolutely. We are continuing to build off of our current experiences, our past experiences. We learn so many great lessons from the mistakes that we make and the people that we've worked with and the successes that we've had. So, yep, exactly. Looking like in the future. Yeah. Who are you at an 8 as a good communicator? What's the impact to the team? Reduce WhatsApp groups for communication. Okay, perfect. So that's your one tiny step that you can take. So reduce WhatsApp groups for communication. Okay. What groups, what commitment would you like to make to yourself? What groups do you want to start by eliminating today? You don't have to put that in the chat, but just make a commitment to yourself. Which groups are not necessary for you to be involved in, and or is there somebody else that needs to be involved in those communications so that you make sure that you're not just cutting off the communication completely, but that you're still able to get only the communication that you need? Do you need to delegate that to someone that's on your team and then have them communicate what's being communicated in that group? So really think about what action and commitments you want to make out of that. Once you make the commitment to yourself, I'd love for you to write that down, circle it, and then I would love for you to think about how you want to be held accountable to that. Be really specific here. Set a date for what WhatsApp groups you want to remove. Make a commitment to yourself. Be really clear on what groups those are. And I would recommend trying to do those, make that commitment to yourself as soon as possible. Try not to make it longer than a week. If there's some things you need to do in order to get ready for that, totally, totally fine. But try to make that commitment within 7 days. Once you've made that commitment to yourself, would love for you to identify an accountability partner and let them know that you're working on being a great communicator. You're trying to move the needle from a 6 to an 8. You can tell them about where you think you are right now, where you want to go, and some of the steps that you're taking to get there. If you want me to be that accountability partner for you, you are absolutely welcome to share that moment with me on LinkedIn or my email. That's totally fine. If you want to pick somebody in your organization, like your boss or a member of your leadership team, there's a lot of humility in sharing with somebody that you're working on something, and you may inspire them to do that as well. Accountability is so key in leadership, right? For ourselves and for our team. If you want a structured approach to leadership growth, I do offer coaching to keep you on track there, and we can talk about how we can make your leadership journey even more successful. So you've just in 40 minutes here, or less than, you've been able to come up with a list of leadership characteristics, understand where you're currently showing up with those characteristics today, rate yourself on where you want to go and how you want to grow in 2025. And you've made one tiny commitment and action step for yourself to start moving the needle in the right direction. Once you've accomplished that first task, you can continue to sit down for 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, and go through this exercise over and over and over again, continuing to move the needle on that characteristic. So, Emiliano, once you feel like you've reached an 8 for communication, wonderful. You can go ahead and move on to another characteristic. So, this can be a living, breathing leadership development plan for you. And you could do this over and over again. Like I said, if you would like the handouts that I referenced during the workshop today, I'd be more than happy to share those with you and LinkedIn. And if you would like any help or tips executing this leadership workshop for your team, please feel free to reach out too. I would also suggest that you set a calendar reminder to check in on this leadership goal and leadership development plan every 90 days with yourself and your accountability partner to make sure that you keep your momentum going. And again, feel free to reach out with any questions that you have. If you found this workshop valuable, imagine how impactful it could be if we did a customized leadership training for your team. I'd love to help, so reach out and we can create a plan that fits your needs for your team. For any of you that are interested in a leadership workshop for your team or customized one-on-one specialized coaching from me, I am offering, if you RSVP to this session today or attended this session, I am giving $1,000 off any of my coaching packages, and I'll send more information about that after the call. So thank you so much for indulging for about 45 minutes here. Really appreciate this. This will again be aired on LinkedIn. It'll also be shared on my podcast, the Restaurant Leadership Podcast, so you can revisit it over and over again. If you're listening in the car, I would recommend you get home, grab a pen and a piece of paper, and just take 30 minutes and really indulge in yourself and invest in your future for 2025. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn at Kristen-Marvin. Happy to help, and I can't wait to cheer you on in your leadership journey. Thank you so much for joining, and have a wonderful day.